Hi, I'm Tim Odom of Engine Pro, and today we're here with Dan Begley from MAHLE. There is an exciting new bearing technology that Dan has brought to the marketplace, and we want to discuss that today and introduce it to you. Dan, what have you got?
So today we're doing a soft launch on our new F-Series line. We always had different series. This is a different suffix. It's an F-Series line. Tim, this is really cool because we took some new technology that we found and in the overlays, and we brought that to some old markets, older engine applications, the small block Chevy, big block Chevy, and the LS. So some very common things that we've made some improvements on.
So it's my understanding the F-Series bearing could replace the H-Series bearing. So how is the construction different than the H-bearing that we're also familiar with?
Great question. The H bearing is the staple bearing that I went off and made the print of. The F bearing is a tri-metal bearing. It's a cast substrate, so it's 20 to 30% stronger, same as the H bearing was. Difference is on the bearing itself is the overlay on top. This is a plating which uses different materials in the plating process. So the seizure resistance is about, I'm still working on some more testing, but about 90% higher of seizure resistance on the same bearing with the same geometry as the H bearing is.
So it's a premium version of an H bearing, really, with a premium overlay, and it's going to give that extra level of performance beyond what we've experienced in already a great H bearing.
That is correct, yes. So I always like to think when you're putting it together, I mean, if you can put a better part in there, it increases the reliability, better for the customer, better for the engine shop. They can put a better part in there because you can't control what happens when that engine goes out and what people do, or what situation is. But this puts more margin in the part, significantly higher seizure resistance on it.
Okay, and you also have a new ramp design on the main bearing.
Yeah, now this is a typical ramp and pad design. When you have a standard flat surface, a crankshaft comes in and hits the flat surface, you cannot get oil in there because two flat surfaces you can't get oil in there. So in this case, this is a LS bearing, this is an H bearing, and it has ramp and pad. So on the back side, as rotation goes in, it creates a ramp to the pad to help lubricate the pad because the overlay, or in this case the substrate, which is the thrust, will start melting out when frictional temperatures gets up. So by adding oil with a ramp to the pad, you've increased the load carrying capacity 93%.
93%.
And so what I tell everybody is a lot of people don't even know this is on the standard LS.
Right.
And they'll fit the crank up and they'll need more crank in place. So the first thing to do is they sand the thrust, right? So you've eliminated this feature that's on there. So you've taken some reliability out, but this standard feature was never on the small block Chevy or the big block Chevy. So we've taken this and we've added it to the small block and the big block on the F series, and so you can create more oil to feed to hold more load carrying force to the crankshaft. And
one of the applications when you're going to get more of that load on that crankshaft? We talked about some of them earlier today.
Yeah, so typically a lot of drag cars do run stall converters. As they are waiting to go out there, those converter stalls, the converters balloon, they expand. Or if it's a straight shift, the clutch, just the force of the clutch and putting the clutch lever in is pushing directly onto the thrust surface. So by having that oil feature in there, it increases how much force can be put on there before you start a seizure into the thrust surface.
Engine life, bearing life, they go together.
Yeah,
so when are these bearings going to be available?
So right now we're working in manufacturing. We soft launched these at PRI, and we're working with manufacturing right now. We have stuff in queue coming. The goal is hopefully by the end of first quarter, possibly into the beginning of second quarter, when we'll start phasing them in. And it's not going to replace the H, but it's going to be an F. So it's going to be new to everybody, but the geometry and everything is the same. We're just adding new technology into new engine platforms.
So this is going to be an exciting new premium level bearing beyond the H bearing. I think it's going to be really interesting to a lot of you engine builders who are building the high end where you really want the best in bearing technology. So when you're ready to buy your next set of bearings, check with your Engine Pro warehouse and ask if they've got the new Clevite F-Series bearing.